Hi everyone, my name is Soraya Perone and I will be talking about female representation in media and what representation means for today's woman, especially in terms of films. So the thesis for my creative media project is the overall increase of female representation in popular media has allowed for the possibility of diverse and accurate representations of female characters being disseminated and accepted into the mainstream, thereby giving women of all ages relatable and representational. Just some beginning things about female representation. Female representation in media has never been equally or accurately representative of the actual population. So it's never really a 50-50 split cast or anything like that. In many films and television shows, female characters are often stereotypical and poorly fleshed out, and more often than not used as a plot device. So a lot of female characters tend to are created based on tropes, for instance. In terms of physical presentation, female characters are often held to a limited wardrobe and aesthetic, limiting the reality of the representation. Overwhelmingly, the women on screen are a specific kind of beautiful, a specific kind of weight, a specific kind of person, and every woman is different, and it's very hard to find, characters that women can actually relate with. So just a little test in terms of assessing gender inequality in terms of media. The Bechdel test is often used to call attention to gender inequality in the media, and it indicates the active presence of female characters in specific works. When you apply the test itself has three components: whether the work contains at least two women, and they have a chance to speak to each other, and they speak about something other than a man, and that the women are named as characters. Um, if you apply that test, you can kind of see how clear it is that the female presence is strongly limited in media. So from the year 2001 to 2015, BechdelTest.com put together all the films that were made and analyzed them. So 6,500 films. Only 58% of those films passed the requirements. Later, Charles Stross, a film critic, claims that he believed that most of those films passed due to talk about marriage or babies. So even if they did manage to talk to each other about something other than a man, it was something that was inherently feminine. So childbearing and marriage. However, there has been an increase in the production of female characters that are truly representative. So in the last few years, we see more movies that are willing to have a female lead or have characters that are different and not, stereotypically one kind of woman. The overwhelming response to films starring characters that are realistically female and whole characters shows a need for growth in that arena, but also proves the necessity of more relatable characters. People really, really want these characters. Women want to see somebody that they can relate to on screen, and they're willing to pay for it. And it kind of shows like it's not something that they don't care about. Clearly, they're going out there and paying for it. And this innate popularity, especially amongst female media consumers, allows for more diverse and interesting characters to be created. It only takes a few movies before production studios really notice and maybe allow, more different female characters that are really more willing to take chances on, say like a disabled female character as a lead than they would in previous years. So some examples of the kind of film that we see that's more female representational. Wonder Woman continues to smash box office records in its fourth week, and it gives viewers a female hero who is strong and dynamic and provides a real representational equivalent for women in terms of superheroes. So men have always had, Superman and Batman and Thor, but women have seemed to only have, sidekicks like Black Widow. Wonder Woman gives women that alternative. She is as strong and stronger than Superman. She is his equal or even his better. And it kind of gives women an ability to feel that kind of invincibility after leaving a theater that men do after leaving most action superhero movies. In terms of more science fiction-y, nerd-based films, the last two of the Star Wars franchise have starred young female lead characters, while preserving one of the original strong female characters ever and allowing her to age like as an actual woman. Um, the two young female leads are completely different. They're not at all the same person. They're not at all like set to a kind of stereotype, and they remain faithful to Organa and how she existed like within the original trilogies. It's not only action movies and sci-fi that have taken a turn to being more truly representational in terms of female presence. Moana is the first Polynesian princess of the Disney franchise, and she also has no love interest, which has been something that Disney and other similar films have been trying to do. So we see with Frozen how Elsa doesn't have any kind of romantic interest either. So this allows for little girls, especially little girls of darker skin tones or island girls, to feel like they do have a princess that represents them, but also to feel like that she doesn't need to have, you know, a love interest or a prince. Maleficent allows for a different kind of representation of villainy, of female age and anger, but it also shows a different kind of maternal love, which allows for, you know, a greater depth in what we see in film and what we can understand women to feel. Comedies have also begun featuring more female characters that, you know, make sense. Comedies written by female comedians and starring female characters as more than just comic relief have also increased, with movies like Bridesmaids and Ghostbusters finding great success at the box office. So it turns out women are actually funny and not just as the butt of the joke. They're actually really good comedians, and the popularity of these films kind of shows that, you know, women can be funny, and it doesn't just have to be as because you're silly or ditzy or something like that. It can be something, you know, truly comedic. Um, Films of a more serious nature, so films that are more likely to win an Academy Award, for instance, in particular those of journeying or discovering nature, have also begun including relatable female characters. So Jane Got a Gun and Mad Max, both very serious films, provide women not only on their own adventure, but motivated by something other than sex-based revenge. So there's a battle between right and wrong, which is generally held for men to battle over. And it gives women a kind of hero, a kind of strong character that isn't based on, you know, my husband cheated on me or something like that. It is based on, you know, good and evil. While there have been distinctly more female characters on screen in recent years and their popularity has increased, there is still a very long way to go. When analyzing 122 family movies released between 2006 and 2009, so that's movies that were rated G, PG, and PG-13, the Gina Davis Institute found that only 29.2 of all distinct speaking characters were female. So that means, you know, statistically less characters were even speaking or distinct on screen um, than there were men. So there are still many more stories and many more female characters to come before women can find themselves truly accurately represented in the media, meaning women of color on screen, disabled women on screen, trans women on screen. We still have a long way to go before our movies and our representation can actually be fully representational. So this is just kind of a ending picture. And here are my references. Thanks, guys.